everybody, it's Joe Perrott, founder of the Ladies Working Dog Group. Are you feeling stuck with your gun dog training? Trust me, you're not alone, and that's exactly why you need to be here. Every week, we're bringing you the best tips and hacks to make training your gun dog easy peasy. We'll keep it straightforward, no fuss, just actionable guidance that you can put straight to use. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Found It, Fetched It. This week we're talking to Chloe Kinnear all about the role of dogs in emotional healing. Let's start by giving Chloe a huge introduction. How are you today, Chloe?
Hiya, Joe. I'm really well today. How are you?
I'm really interested in this because as we go through the conversation, I'll chat a little bit about my daughter using her dog for helping her with her anxiety. But I know this whole world, isn't there now, where dogs are being used to provide emotional support for people. Before we get into all of that, can we start with your background?
Yes. Basically, I didn't have a background in dogs at all. I never grew up in a family with anything other than a dog who was kept in the garden, was a pet, an outdoor dog, nothing more. And then whenever I moved in with my husband, I decided to get him a dog for his birthday, who I then took on ownership of. And then it all went a bit crazy. So now I have 3 Labradors who I do gun dog training with. And I also do therapy dog training with them. And I then went on and became a dog trainer as well.
So there's quite a lot going on in that. So you didn't set out to work in this way with gun dogs. What was your history? What did you plan on doing? Like when we say, well, when we grow up, I'm going to...
I'm a radiographer as well. So I am. So none of this was a plan. I basically got my Labrador, went on and done some gun dog training just with a trainer from round here. And then once I started that, it just didn't stop. And then I went to some charity working tests, and then I realized what I didn't know and what I needed to know. And then I went on and I'm now doing working tests. Then another girl who I trained with, one of her dogs, she decided to train it as a therapy dog. And I thought my dog could do that too. So I went on and got her assessed. And then I became a therapy dog assessor. And then whenever I went on maternity leave, I went and done Rob Elaine's Canine Instructor Academy course, and now I do dog training as well.
It's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? How we plan on doing one thing and then we end up doing something else. Before we go into what you do with the therapy dogs and all that side of your work, you mentioned you did Rob at the Elaine's course. Like you met some other members there doing that, didn't you?
Yes, I met some really nice members of the LWD. I met Sarah, Emma, and Courtney, and so many of the experts. And they just push you on as well. And even now we have a group chat where we all talk about all our successes and all our failures, or when something doesn't go right. And then if we have a client that we're struggling with, we all will have a FaceTime and discuss it. And it's just a really good community that we met through the LWDG and also on Rob's course. And it brought us all together.
That's one of the bits. Loads of what I do makes me really happy. But when I see people make connections that can support one another, I think it's fabulous, because obviously Emma is our mindset coach, and when she mentions you, she's always full of your praise. But for yourself, living in Ireland, I know from our membership there isn't that many women doing gun dog training as you may find in like England.
Yeah, it's so limited. And that's why it was actually my mother-in-law who found your group, the LWDG, because we were struggling so bad to find any balanced gun dog trainers here. So we were really struggling, and it was just so frustrating. I was getting so frustrated that there was no one here who was able to help. And I just wanted to progress with my dogs, for my dogs, as a hobby and a passion. And then when we found the group, we were both so excited. So we're both on the group, and we use it all the time. I come on to the dog and ducks, or if not, I'll watch them back. And it's really great because even though we don't have a trainer here, we're still able to connect with you. And we even went over to one of the place board training days. So we feel part of it as well.
That's fabulous. Hopefully, as we get stronger in Northern Ireland and Ireland as a whole, we can just do more, and that'll be absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, like, obviously your dogs and yourself do really well in working tests. When you say you take part and you get placed, don't you?
Yeah, Mabel has been doing really well this season. So I done one working test 2 years ago with my dog. And it was at the very end of the season. I just wanted to see how she was going. I just wanted to see where I was. I had no expectations, and I did get placed. I got a second, and then obviously this season had ended, so that was it. And then I was picking up and all the rest in between, and then I was obviously pregnant, so I didn't get to compete last year. But this season, from the start of competitions, we've been straight in there, and Mabel has placed nearly every test, so she's doing really well. And I've also brought my young dog. He's done one competition last week. He didn't place, but he's getting the ropes and getting his confidence up. So they're doing really well.
What made you, was it this lack of sort of trainers that you could find that made you go, oh, actually, not only am I going to find out how I do this for my dog, I'm going to help other people?
Yeah, completely. And there was no one here, no one that I would. There was people who were happy for you to train with them, but no one knew anymore. I just thought we need to have someone and we need to do something. So I went and done Rob's course, and it's really helped because even though it's not gun dog specific, it covers prey drive and it makes you think more about the dog and what they're going through and why they're struggling. So it has really helped.
And to go to the part that we want to talk about in depth, your friend was using their dog as a therapy dog, and then you qualified Mabel. What was that process like? What did she have to do, and what did you have to do for your dog to become a therapy dog in the first instance?
Okay, so all of it. First of all, I phoned one of the assessors from Northern Ireland. So now there's two assessors in Northern Ireland, me and another lady. So I had phoned her and got in touch with her, and I was just basically asking her what the process was. And we were discussing everything, how your dog had to be happy to be in the company of people, happy to be in a busy environment, happy with noise, being startled, that they were happy to be stroked, that they were clean and just well mannered and could walk on a loose lead. And when she was saying all this, I thought, my dog can do all of this unless she's having a really bad day. So then I said, I think I'm ready to do the assessment then. So we arranged an assessment and I met her in a shopping centre, the Linen Green. And I met her in the car park. So it was busy and we had a 10-minute conversation. Obviously, I didn't know at the time this was part of the assessment. And basically, it was to see that my dog would sit calm and not jump up on her, and that we were able to have a conversation without my dog getting very impatient, which was no problem. Then we had a walk around the shops and we walked past people and other dogs, and she walked nicely on a lead. She wasn't bothered by other dogs or people. Then we went into a shop and the woman then sprayed correction spray basically to make a big noise to startle the dog. And obviously my dog has been around shots and all sorts. So she looked at her and walked on. She wasn't bothered at all. And then she took a treat from her and she wasn't snapping and she was able to be groomed. And that was the assessment. And then all the paperwork obviously had to be sent away. And then obviously I got confirmation that Abel had passed her assessment.
So when we say therapy dog, there's so many different types of dogs who work in like the medical stroke, emotional therapy area. What do you work with Mabel?
There's so many areas you can go into. So you can go into care homes, you can go into young kid groups, girls brigade, boys brigade, things like that. You can go into schools. They have a pause and read program. So it encourages maybe the weaker readers to read to the dog without any judgment. And then you can go into hospitals and things like that. At the minute, I only do voluntary work with Mabel, because I just want to give back and I'm able to do it with my dog, which makes it even better. So we go into care homes because there's not a lot of people there for the elderly to help them. There's days go by and they don't see many people. So we go in there, and Mabel loves it now. At the first time we went in, she was a bit overwhelmed, nothing major. She was showing a few stress signals, but she coped well. But the second time we went in, she knew her role. She just went over to a man, put her head on his lap, and she made his day, and it made my day seeing how well she was with him. So it's really good.
For these people, when we say emotional therapy, like you said, it's some sort of time that they get to interact with another living creature, but it's also that relaxing time of stroking a dog or just being surrounded by something else going on in their day, isn't it?
Yeah, completely, because there's nothing more relaxed than just sitting, stroking a dog, not worrying about anything. They're having a conversation with me, they're having a conversation with the dog, they're talking about the dog. Nothing else really matters. The mind is not thinking about all the problems or everything else, or that they haven't seen anybody. So it is nice. It's just a little bit of time for them and for the dog.
What made you decide to go from just doing it with Mabel to assessing other dogs?
It's like the gun dog training in Northern Ireland, it's really limited. So the gun dog training was limited, and also in Northern Ireland, therapy dogs is really limited. I think there's only like 10 to 12 people who do it, and there's only one assessor, and she's in Moneymore, so she's quite far away. So there was really no one else, and I thought, if we want more therapy dogs, then we need more assessors, and we need more people promoting it, and we need more people doing everything.
It is really interesting because when we first got Meg, her own dog, obviously people who follow along know my daughter had social anxiety, she's homeschooled, and having an animal of your own or animal spends time with, or even that connection of having to care and look after another living being can make a massive difference in these people's lives, can't it?
Completely. It completely changes your life, because even everybody has a little bit of anxiety at times. But if I think of how my dog affects my everyday life, like, she makes your world. Do you know, they're such a companion, and they're there through the hard times, the good times, and they're always the same. They're just there for you.
When we took my daughter, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this because if anybody else is listening and their children are going through something similar, when we took my daughter to the Gundog holiday in Cumbria, we were there for 3 days. She managed to spend time with other people on the one day. The other 2 days, she just didn't have the strength to spend. She found it really difficult because, understandably, people talk to you and they're trying to put you at ease. But if you're very anxious, the very fact that people are asking you lots of questions can make you far more anxious.
Yeah.
Then we got her pup and there's 40 volunteers. We took her and we took her a dog, and I thought this would be quite a big test of her capability. And then the one thing that I saw over the weekend was her spending so much time with people, because people didn't talk to her. They talked to the dog. They were like, that's a lovely dog. And they were looking at the dog and they were giving her space to talk to them without them being not interrogated. People don't interrogate, but when somebody's looking you straight in the eyes and they're asking you questions, there's that pressure to respond. Whereas when they were talking to the dog, all those sort of bodily cue pressures were removed. They were saying, how old is he? And questions that they were questions that were being repeated, if that makes sense. So then she knew the answers and she was able to interact. If I look at her now a year later, anxiety, like you said, is one of those things that never goes away. You have it in different lengths or at different depths. But I know for her, the dog has definitely got her to a place where she's capable of going out more with him with her. She isn't as strong without him as she is with him. And do you see that with people? They're able to be far more themselves when they have a dog around them.
Oh, completely. And how I actually heard of therapy dogs in the beginning was, my mother-in-law had a client. She runs hydrotherapy, and she had a client, and she had really bad anxiety, and she was really struggling to cope, and she was training her own dog up to be her therapy and assistance dog. And she took her dog, she was a really smart girl, really educated, and she took her dog over to university with her, because that was the only way she could cope. And it was so good, because you could tell when you were speaking to her, she was very nervous and she didn't want to be speaking, and she would avoid eye contact. And that's completely understandable. But whenever she had then the dog, and you were talking about the dog, the conversation just flowed. It was completely different. And she has her dog trained up as a therapy dog and she's coping really well. And she brings him on the train with her, brings him to lectures. She's just coping so much better now that she has this dog.
And there is a lot of stress on us in this generation, in our younger generations, that weren't there before. They're really incredible pressures, aren't they? Life pressures, work pressures. Do you think that we see more conversations about therapy dogs because the pressures are increasing so much?
Completely. I think we all, there's a lot of stress in everyone's life. Some people just don't manage to cope as well as others, or some are just really good at hiding it. And sometimes when you do have a dog, you're able to just talk with the dog or go out for a walk, and it relieves a lot of the stress and pressures of everyday life.
I can remember, like, I grew up with horses, and I can remember so many times I would, like, when you're a teenager, you've got a lot going on emotionally and hormonally. I can remember crying into my horse's neck. But basically, if I look back now, I wasn't really crying over anything at all in life's sort of journey. But at the time, I felt that emotion and needed to release it. And I think had my horse not been there for me in that way of there was no judgment. I could cry. She would just stand there eating her hay while I sobbed. It was that space to relieve yourself of some of the things you're feeling, isn't it?
Completely, because you think if you're having a really bad day and you need a bit of a cry, you think, well, at least my dog's here for me. At least they're there, when you're having this and they're not talking back and they're not telling you anything you don't want to hear. They're just there.
And that's such a big part of it, isn't it? Is the fact that not they don't answer back, because obviously we want people's help in it, but they listen. They listen without judgment.
Completely.
And they don't try to problem solve. Like, I know I'm terrible for it. Somebody will tell me what they're going through, and I have to, like, almost force myself now to think, offer advice, but don't give advice. If in fact that they might not want you to solve this problem, they might just want to tell you this problem.
Yeah, and then you sometimes can sound like a know-it-all and you know everything and I know nothing and I'm just a disaster. But that's why a dog or a horse or any animal is just so comforting, because there's no judgment at all.
As you're doing more and more of this, and hopefully in your area and in all areas, there's now more of these dogs that people have access to. Is it incredibly rewarding to know that you're now playing a part of increasing the numbers of dogs that can do this?
Oh, it's so rewarding. I also have a lady I go to see, and her son I think it was autism, and he has another few things wrong with him. But she got him a pup, and she wanted to train it for him to calm him, because the child minder he goes to has a dog, and it really helps him along. So she then contacted me with this pup, and we're training it to have it a therapy dog for her son, and basically show her son how to deal with the dog and stop the dog jumping up and the puppy nipping stage, all of that, just having the dog calm and there for the child. And it's really good, because when the child's stroking it or has a bit of a tantrum and can't express his emotion, he's stroking the dog and he does calm down, and it's so rewarding to see.
And there's an incredible positive part of this, but the reality is there's such a call for these dogs now that to purchase a dog that is fully trained is incredibly expensive now, isn't it?
Oh, completely. And a lot of people just don't have that money or the access to that resources. So it is nice to be able to help people train their own dogs from a pup. It is a much longer process. But if you have a young child and a young pup and you're able to bring them up together, it's completely rewarding.
And I can see easily how gun dog breeds are perfectly suited when trained, because they have these capabilities of not being shocked by anything or waiting around patiently. And yes, there is that journey to get them to that point, without a doubt. But they are a breed that would probably absolutely enjoy the work.
Completely, because when I was having that conversation with the assessor at the time and she was discussing all the criteria, and I was thinking, yep, done that, yep. There was nothing that I thought, okay, there's nothing going to trick her out. Whereas when you go, because I have trained her as a gun dog and I've competed her and I've put a lot of work into her, it is my passion. So I enjoy it. But I think they're such a great natured breed that they just work and they enjoy it. It'd be different if you brought a dog and the dog really wasn't happy being stroked and wasn't happy being in this environment. Then there's no point, because it's not enjoyable for you or the dog.
Fabulous. So for someone who's interested in possibly training their own therapy dog, what sort of tips do you have for them?
First of all, you can go on to the Therapy Dogs Nationwide website, and they actually give you a list of criteria, the do's and the don'ts. So they do for therapy dogs. And also, I would say bring your dog up to be calm, socialize, but socialization in terms of enjoying to go over to people on command, not just going crazy and love me to every person. I'd get them used to being in busy environments, maybe bring them through a shopping centre, obviously ask permission first, and get them walking nicely on a lead. It's basically all of the basic training that you want your dog to have. There's nothing too crazy.
And if somebody's listening and thinking, actually, I'd love to potentially look at doing assessing in my area, would you suggest they follow the same path as you, get a dog to qualify themselves so they understand the process, and then look to see if an assessor is needed in their area?
Completely. I feel that because I've trained my dog as a therapy dog, I've been through the assessment myself, and then I went on to do the assessor training. So even when I'm going out to assess somebody, it just is so natural. It flows. It's so easy. Do you know, it's not a challenge because I'm there. I've been through the whole process. I'm helping someone else. It's really rewarding, and it's easy if you've been through it, brought your dog through it.
So for you now, obviously you started your own business and you dog train. How much of the work that you do is this therapy based or gun dog based? Is it like equal amounts of time spent doing this different things?
Basically, at the minute, I do mainly basic behavior and obedience. So I do a lot of behavior consultations or any behavior problems, and then a lot of puppy training and things like that. I then go and help people if they're struggling and they want to go and get the basic behavior sorted for bringing their dog on to be a therapy dog. I don't do a lot of gun dog training. I do a little bit. I'd rather spend my time training my dog for gun dog. And also, I'm still in the process of learning a lot with that. So I wouldn't want to go on and help others, having them pay me when I'm not fully there yet. But in the future, definitely, it's something that we'll work with. And I'm happy to give advice with gun dog training, but I'm just not happy to be paid yet for it. But with therapy dogs, yeah, no, we do a good bit, but it's more so basic behavior and obedience. Although it all leads to the same thing. Even the basic behavior and obedience in the gun dog training, it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like lots of people say to us about the Hot Mess Handler course, oh, my dog isn't going to be used as a gun dog. Can I still do the course? And I'm like, yeah, because the reality is the foundations of gun dog training, you could teach to any dog to have a really responsible, behaved dog.
Yeah, it's a great way of training. I find training any dog, even if it's just to play fetch, all of them behaviors that you train up to the gun dog training is the basics of everyday life for a dog. There's the heel work, the sit, the stay, the recall, all of it. It just adds up. And the retrieves and the hunting is the enjoyment. It's the reward for the dog.
Yeah, and I definitely think if you have a pet, to know how to get them to hunt an area and know how to get them to retrieve, it gives you other things to do with the dog. It gives you a way of working with the dog in a fun way, a connected way, rather than, oh, my dog's on the lead, I've got my phone, we're going for a walk, I can't be bothered to do this. You've got something where you're actually engaged with them.
Yeah, completely. Because my dogs, I am competitive. I'll not lie about that. I love to win. But my dogs are pet gun dogs and they're in the house. And a lot of people at the gun dogs, like, some man looked at my mother-in-law's dog and we were in a conversation and he goes, she was saying, oh, it's not running well today. And he looked and he done a judgmental, oh, and he goes, indoor dog, is it? And it just made me laugh because my dog and her dog's going out and winning and competing and they're in the house, and my mother-in-law's dog, it's in the bed. So it's completely different to what goes on. Like, it's, we love to compete, but yet we love our dogs more than competing. So we're not that serious. We just love it and enjoy it. And I think that's why the dogs do so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you. So, how do you manage like the work-life balance? Because we've talked a little bit about like your career and where you're going with this and all the things that you're doing, but you also have a family as well, don't you?
Yeah, I am. I've got 2 young children, so whenever we're out training my dogs, um, for competitions, my mother-in-law will come with me, or I'll meet with someone else, and the kids are there too, and they love it. And my little girl, you hear her, she'll shout like "back" or something, or "mark," and it's quite funny because she's been brought up in the environment and seeing the nicer side of gun dog training. And she's outdoor all the time, so it's not bad. We include them in everything.
I can always remember both my daughters having that environment when I used to train with my dad. And I look at it and I think there was loads of lessons now on reflection that they learned about being steady and being calm as children because you can't have them running around screaming when you're trying to train. So I
Hmm.
think there's a lot for them to get out of it as well, isn't there?
Oh, completely. Because my little girl, she knows when the dog's running, but then also the dog sits steady while she's maybe running around throwing a ball at the other side. So it's training for the dog that they basically have to focus on what I'm doing and not what's going on around them. So it is really good because she'll be throwing a ball, or she'll come and take a dummy and she'll go away. And sometimes it works as a bit of a diversion because she'll throw a dummy and you have to say leave to the dog and then send it for the dummy that you've put out. So it is good. Sometimes it is a challenge, but it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're far faster than us putting dummies out. to finish
Completely.
To finish our podcast, which has been absolutely insightful, how can people get hold of you? I know you're in the members community, they can find you in there, but how do they find your business?
So I'm on 123 Dog Training on Facebook. I'm also on 123 Dog Training NI on Instagram, and I'm also on TikTok on 123 Dog Training. So they can contact me on any of them platforms, or also I'm on the Members Society under Chloe Kinnear.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for giving up your time to have this conversation. It's been really helpful. I'm sure anybody who's listening to it who maybe is looking for additional things to do with their pet gun dogs, or people who are like thinking this is something I want to do to give back, they can take the information that you've given them and definitely use that to their advantage. Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you very soon.
It's been great, and anyone who's even having a think about it, get in contact and we can chat more because it's so rewarding, and it's that extra bit of training for your dog and that extra bit of bonding time together.
That's it for today's episode. A massive thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to head over to the LWDG and sign up for our membership. Get access to expert-led training, a wonderfully supportive community, and the resources you need to become a confident and skilled gun dog trainer. Let's take this journey together because no woman should have to train her gun dog alone. We'll see you all next week.